Okay, class, so here we have the base 10 model that we learned today for multiplication. So we're going to review a little bit on how to use base 10 blocks to make a number. So we start out, I'm going to give you the number 13. So in order to make the number 13, you would use one long. In class, we like to call them maybe a French fry because it kind of looks like a French fry. And if you see, one long is worth 10 because it has 10 ones in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we can use a long to represent a 10. Then we can use 3 ones cubes to represent our ones place. If you're looking at the number 13, we can draw a line to separate our place values. The tens place, we would use our long, or maybe you might call it a French fry, to represent your tens place. And your ones place, you're using your cubes here. Okay? So here we have used our base 10 blocks to represent the number 13. And to double check, I can touch count all of the cubes to make sure I have 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay? Now, if I want to use the base 10 model to multiply, I'm going to need a lot more cubes. So let's say that I wanted to multiply. I wanted to find the product of 3 times 13. Well, we know how to make 13 with base 10 blocks because we just did it. And what this problem is saying is that I need 3 groups of 13 because when you're multiplying, you're looking at groups of things. Okay? So I need 3 sets or 3 groups of 13. Well, I know how to make 13 with my base 10 block because I just did it. 1 long and 3 cubes. 10 and then 3 more is 13. So this is one of my groups. I can use my base 10 blocks to make 2 more groups. Here we go. And I need 1 more group because it's 3 times 13. So there we go. So now I have represented 3 times 13. So now in order to find the product, what the answer is to a multiplication question, I can count all my cubes if I needed to. Just because this is a new method for us, if I needed to, I could count all of my little cubes. But doing that kind of opens myself up for a mistake or for error. And so I can I can count in a different way to make this a little faster. I know that each long is worth 10. So if I have 3 of them, that's 10, 20, 30. Okay? So I know this is 30. And then I know here I can count by 3s. 3, 6, 9. So I know this, my ones, all equal 9. And to find what my final product is, I'm going to say 30 plus 9 is 39. And that's my answer to 3 times 13. Okay? Now, sometimes we won't have base 10 blocks with us to use. So you can draw symbols to represent the base 10 blocks. So just like I was using my long, or my French fry if you want to call it that, you can use a straight line, a horizontal line, to represent your long base 10 block, which would be 10. And then to represent your cube, you can just use a dot. Sometimes when you're working with larger numbers, it might be helpful, instead of drawing them horizontally, is to draw them vertically like this. So really, whichever way works best for you, you can decide. Okay, so now let's solve a little bit more challenging problem, but this time we're going to use our symbols instead of actually using our blocks. Okay, so let's look at, maybe let's do the problem 4 times 23. And so when I think about multiplying, this question 4 times 23 is asking me to figure out how many would be in 4 groups of 23. If you want to apply it to real life, think about how many students would there be if there's 4 classes and each class has 23 students. That's 4 groups of 23. So to help myself out, I'm going to draw 4, here are my 4 groups. And this is going to help me keep my symbols organized. Okay? So to represent 23, again, if I need to, I can draw a line here in between my 1s and my 10s place. And the 10s place, these are my long, or my French fries, and these are my 1s, or we like to call them tater tots, is a fun way, because everybody loves tater tots. So in each one of my groups, I need to have 23 represented. So I'm going to have 2 groups of 10. So that is, here are my groups of 10. And then I need 3 1s in each of my groups. And so now I have 4 groups of 23. I still need to solve it though. I still need to add up all of my cubes, all of my base 10 blocks to figure out what 4 times 23 is. So I can count, I know I can count by 10s, and each of my longs represents 10. So this would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, so all of my 10s together would be 80. Now I can count by 3s, count all my 1s, and I count by 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12. And I'm going to add those together. 0 plus 2 is 2. 8 plus 1 is 9. So if I'm wondering how many students, if there are 23 students in each class and there's 4 classes, how many students do we have in all? It would be 92 is my product. And so I've just used the base 10 method to solve. Remember that in order to represent your 10s, your long, or we might lovingly call it a French fry, you're going to use these lines right here. In order to represent a cube or a 1, you're going to use these little dots. Okay? And that's how you do the base 10 method.